Hello, year sevens. This is really weird. I'm like, where do I look in this camera? I thought I'd do a little bit of flipped learning. So you're going to be going through this content with your teacher, whoever that teacher might be, tomorrow on Tuesday. But I'm going to run through some of the content with, well, most of the content with you also. So if you do log onto Teams, you'll have the opportunity to go through and get a little bit ahead, which would be good. All right, so we're looking at prisms, and I just had to pause it. I just sneezed. Okay, so our learning intention is to build structures using nets of simple prisms and to identify nets of prisms. So that is the intention of your learning, and how you know that you've achieved that is your success criteria. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to build structures using nets of simple prisms. You will have the triangular prism that you build, and I can identify nets of prisms. So that is the goal for this lesson. We've got lots of key vocabulary here, but a lot of it you should already be familiar with. We've been using this language already. Vertex we've already used. Base, net, vertices have already been used. You would have been familiar with polygonal already, but maybe it's been a while. Prisms, faces, net, cross section might be new for you, and surface area. It's really important that you get into the habit of using the correct language and being familiar with the mathematical language. This, hopefully, you get the opportunity to do in class. I'm not going to go through it because it's your do now activity. So it is bingo. And I suggested the measurement and area improvement. So hopefully you have a go at that, because I don't think I've put them in any of the other lessons before. Now here, what we've got here is a rectangular prism. So the goal here is for you to be able to identify how exactly you're going to take this flat net, and you're going to put it back together to make it into a solid shape, make it into the rectangular prism. So how would you achieve this? This is quite obvious here. It's actually giving you the answers on the image. So we're going to be folding here, here, here. We're going to fold them over these two. Well, probably not going to see me doing that. These two where it says top, I'm going to fold along there, so they'll fold together and create our rectangular prism. That's what it will look like all folded together. Now we're having a look at what are prism nets. So prism nets are the same as all nets for our polyhedrons. They are two-dimensional flattened out versions. So as you can see in the video below, that's just shown you, I don't know if it's going to let me, no, it's not going to let me do that. So it's shown you our triangular prism as a solid and what it looks like when it's flattened out. So I sort of went back and forth with that one. So this is what it looks like when it's flattened out. And we create our nets by cutting the polyhedron along one or more of the edges until it can be laid out flat, which means that there is going to be more than one way that we can create nets. So this isn't the only net we'll have for triangular prisms. This net can be formed in other ways. So how do I identify different prism nets? So prisms have rectangle sides and two bases. So the key feature is your bases. So your base, you're going to have two bases that so our two bases are identical, and that is our key feature for identifying any prism. So for instance, we have here the triangular prism. So the two bases are triangles, and or for square, we've got our rectangular prism, pentagonal, hexagonal, always struggle to say that one, and octagonal. So the two bases are your key feature in identifying the type of prism net. And the cross section is simply saying that if these shapes are, if there is a cross section that is taken directly parallel, that means all to the base, that means that the resulting shape will be exactly the same all the way through. So in your triangular prisms, it's going to be the triangle. In your pentagonal, will always have the pentagonal, and same for the others. So that's all that's saying there. So this is just a few of the prisms, examples of the prisms. So we've got here, what are the properties of the prisms? So in our big properties in the prisms are that are the same for all prisms, are that every prism has two bases that are identical. Every prism. And every prism has its lateral faces, and the lateral faces are all the other faces that are not bases, sorry. They're our lateral faces. They are always parallelograms. So they're the two features that are the same for all of our prisms. But obviously some other features are going to differ. So for instance, we have our triangular prism here. It has 5 faces. Our rectangular has 6 faces. Square is also 6 faces. The pentagonal has 7 faces. The hexagonal has 8, and so on and so on. So, and same for edges and vertices. So those are going to be variable. Those will change depending on the type of prism that you have. But the things that will always remain the same are in the features are that the two bases will be identical and the lateral faces will be parallelograms. All right, so hopefully you had the opportunity in class to copy this information down, because it is important. It's going to help you consolidate and understand the concepts and how you calculate surface area and things like that in the future. The next we have is, what are the different nets of prisms? So these are the 3 most common: the cube, rectangular prism, and triangular prism. We've got an example of our cube net here, an example of our rectangular prism net here, and an example of our triangular prism net here. So recognizing what a prism looks like in its net form gives us a greater understanding of how and why with calculating surface area. So the surface area is exactly that. So in our net form, you can see the surface area like that. So when you were first learning about area, you just had that 2-dimensional view, and you've got your two sides. You've got your length and you've got your width. So if we look at one rectangle and we say the length is 6 and the width is 2, then we multiply those we multiply 6 by 2, so 2 times 6 is 12, and we know that that is our area. Our area is 12. So when we pull apart our net, it helps us understand the surface area, because when they're all together and it's a 3D shape and the formula is a little bit more complicated than our one just for area, the surface area formula is more complicated. Pulling it apart like this, we can see why that makes sense, why the formula is the way that it is, because we have 2 of each, 2 and 2 and 2. So that is the reason why we need to multiply all of those portions of our surface to have our full surface area. So this is why nets are really important to have that understanding, and being able to identify the different nets will help you with that as well. And we've got another 3 examples here: our pentagonal prism, hexagonal prism, and octagonal prism. So we have our two faces on all three here. All three here, we have our two faces. So that is how we identify those. There's a lot of other prisms, but I'm not going to list them all. But again, these ones are fairly common. There is a really famous pentagonal in America. Wonder if anyone can recognize or identify the one that I'm thinking of. Okay, our model example here. Let's have a look at this net. What can we see? Pointed this out. All the videos going really fast there. Oh, yep, already done. All right, so that was our triangular prism. And we pointed out the two bases, which were triangles. Well, I pointed it out in the video, and it formed our solid triangular prism. So this one is not going to be a triangular prism, but we'll move on from that one. Okay, prism net's activity. Can you recognize what shape the net makes? Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be the one on the left or the one on the right? Bum, bum, bum. Hopefully you're all knowing that it is the one on the left because there were no triangles. No triangles. So yes, it was the cube. This is the activity that you'll be doing. So you'll be building your own triangular prism. So hopefully we still have those materials in the classroom. I haven't been in there for a while, but hopefully the scissors and the glue are all in there, or you have your own scissors and glue in your pencil cases. So you're able to construct your triangular prism and, continue to consolidate your learning if you've completed that. I've got down here the early finishes, and I've also provided the grid paper, so you can do this. So it's been already provided ahead of time, so no one can say, oh, they didn't have any of that, because I know that I've provided that. Create your own 2D shapes on, oh, did I say 2D shapes on there on grid paper? Oh yeah, okay, in the end of, oh, why did I put that on there? No, that's okay, you can do that. I think I meant to put 3D on there, but that's okay, you can do that one. And I've put a few different challenges in some of the previous lessons. I'm not seeing people go onto Teams. I'm not seeing any homework being submitted. I'm not having any questions being asked, maybe one or two students, that's about it. So this is a really good opportunity for you to be able to ask questions or ask for more challenges or ask for more difficult content to extend your learning if you're already understanding it. And if there's things that you're not understanding, you need to be asking that questions. I will respond to you via Teams, but you need to be on there. You need to be completing your homework so I can provide you with feedback, and have a go at the challenges. Have a go. Do your best. Okay, so this is our review. So anyone that has watched this video will be whizzing through this at the end, and the CRT will be going, what is happening? Which net does not belong to a rectangular prism? So we've got A up the top there. What are our key features in our prisms? This is what you need to be remembering. This is what you need to understand and know. So all rectangular prisms, all of our prisms are going to have two identical bases. Okay, so A, I can see, has two identical bases, and the other faces are what? They are our lateral faces, and the lateral faces are all parallelograms. I couldn't even say that one. And I can see in A that's the case. I've got three rectangles there. B, I've got two identical bases, and I've also got lateral faces that are parallelograms. The same for D. Not the case for C. So there's our answer. C does not belong to the rectangular prism. It is not. C is a pyramid. So there's our answer. What net am I? So we need to look at what the base is, and it's going to tell us what the answer here is. Look at the two identical bases, and it'll tell us the type of prism it is. So can you have a look there and see? I can see I've got an octagon and another octagon, and then I've got all these rectangles there, so I know it's going to be an octagonal prism. Yep. And again, looking for my bases, I've got two identical triangles and then three parallelograms, three rectangles. That one is our triangular prism. What net am I? Look for my bases again. Again, I've got two octagons. So it's an octagonal prism again. And on this very last review question, choose the net that folds to give the shape below. Well, I can immediately eliminate A and C because there's no triangle, so it's not those two. So let's have a look at B and D. Which one is it going to be? If I fold B, if I fold that right, not under the first rectangle, not directly under the second rectangle, if I fold that there, I'm going to have that larger rectangle here and here. Does that make the shape that you can see there? No, it doesn't, because we know we've got a larger one and then we've got a smaller rectangle. So this is how we piece that together. So our answer is going to be D. Hopefully you all are able to identify that. And lucky last is the homework. I've got here complete and take a photo and post your answers into the homework folder. Realized I thought I had a homework folder in there, but I don't. But that's okay. You can put it in the general one, and I'll go ahead and create a homework folder. If it's on there, put it in the folder. Otherwise, just post it into the general section or underneath the homework post is fine. Yeah, so complete any incomplete work from class. If you have any questions, ask the questions on there as well. You've got your private channels. If you don't want to ask for everyone to see, you can ask it in your private channel. Mrs. Rain, this part really confused me. Could you give me an example? Whatever it might be. I'm happy to give you feedback. I'm happy to help you, but you need to be proactive and you need to be asking and doing some of that work yourself. And the main part of the homework is design a net of one type of prism on coloured paper. It doesn't really have to be on coloured paper, but whatever. And then build its structure by using this net. So design a net yourself, build a structure, make a prism, take a photo of it. You can take a photo of it at the net. You can take a photo of it when you've pieced it together. So you've got your solid 3D object. And post that onto Teams and can give you some feedback. So hopefully this helps give you a head start into this content leading into the next lesson. If you have any questions, I can't stress enough, please go onto Teams and ask me those questions, and I can respond and give you, when I'm able to, hopefully within a good time frame for yourself. But I can't help you. I can't give you feedback if you're not completing the homework, if you're not going onto Teams, if you're not asking the questions. So you need to be taking some ownership there and making the effort to do that for yourself to get the best learning. All right, so I really hope that this has helped, and I'm hoping to be back in the classroom soon. So bye, Year 7s.